The source of the confusion, this verdict form. The jury thought they were sentencing Williams to 10 years in prison, and they recommended probation thinking he would receive both. But what they really did is probate that 10-year sentence. This is just down the street from Wheelock Elementary School. Now, officers responded here about an hour ago to reports of a gunshot victim. The beam on a $40 or $50 laser can reach 10 miles, and the beam only gets larger as it travels. And let me show you what we found in this van. Inside, we found the car's title, we found their vehicle registration, but that's not all. We also found a handful of keys. We found lots of different vehicle keys, maybe even a house key. Now, you take one look at this structure and you know it needs a lot of work. In fact, city council members estimate about $50 million worth of renovations. All 12 jurors agreed they wanted to send Williams to prison for 10 years, but they filled out the verdict form incorrectly. This court transcript reveals what the judge did and didn't do when she realized the jury had made a major mistake. This booming criminal enterprise is so organized they even have business cards. Here you can see an officer punching 20-year-old Jose Escarcega several times. Our investigation led us all the way here to Austin to the Texas Department of Licensing and Regulation, where they tell us more than a year later they are still working to get our viewers their money. We did see a lot of rain less than 30 minutes ago, and I can actually hear thunder from where I'm standing. We're told that the blast was so strong it felt like a magnitude 2.1 earthquake. Now, we're also expecting a few changes when it comes to that long-standing two-thirds rule. Senator Perry says they are voting on that tomorrow. That is $240,000 less than originally billed to be paid out over the next 10 years. We took our investigation even further. According to county documents, the medical examiners in Los Angeles, the Chicago area, even New York make less than the Lubbock County medical examiner. If you had to give the city a grade on how they handled this giant snowstorm, what would you give the city?
I personally would give the city an A.
I have an email pulled up here, and you can take a look at it from August 21st, where the PR consultant says, I still want to stay as benign as possible, and on my end, I'm working to load up media with as much other news items per elections info and other items to keep them as busy as possible as we head into early voting. So it sounds like you're trying to bury the pay raises.
Yeah, and I understand.
We have new information tonight on an investigation we have followed for more than a year. KCBD started investigating viewer complaints into a towing company called West Texas Lender Support in the fall of 2013. Viewers told us the company may have illegally towed cars from the National Flea Market on Clovis Road.
Tonight we have obtained documents from the state investigation that support those claims. Investigative reporter Shaley Sanders joins us now with more in this KCBD Sandstorm Scholar report. Shaley?
Karen and Abner, you are looking at more than 3,500 pages. This is what we received from the Texas Department of Licensing and Regulation when we requested the file on the towing company West Texas Lender Support. Now, inside these documents, complainants reference our report about the towing company not having the signage required by the state, meaning cars were illegally towed, costing drivers hundreds of dollars. Tonight, we continue to dig through this investigation to find out if our viewers will ever get their money back. We poured through all 3,564 pages of the Texas Department of Licensing and Regulations investigation into West Texas Lender Support. A state investigation prompted by our own investigation into WTLS allegedly towing vehicles illegally from this Lubbock flea market.
We haven't been reimbursed.
Not 1 cent.
It was like $292 or $93.
Dina Ramirez and Maria Mariscal want their money back, and according to this state investigation, that is exactly what should happen.
My mouth just went to the floor.
They weren't accepting credit cards or any other form of payment other than cash.
I didn't think it was going to be that much.
Many of us went to the ATM, took out $300, and they just kept the rest.
These documents confirm that at least 3 people were not given change.
I didn't think that we had parked in a place that wasn't a place to park.
Randall Hurst reimbursed us.
Period.
In August of 2014, a prosecutor with TDLR offered to dismiss most of the administrative fines against Mr. Hurst if he would refund all of the money owed to complainants for the illegal tows. In early January, we attempted to contact all 8 of the flea market complainants to see if they had received a refund. The 6 we were able to contact told us they had not been reimbursed. Our investigation led us all the way here to Austin to the Texas Department of Licensing and Regulation, where they tell us more than a year later they are still working to get our viewers their money.
It's my understanding that your station aired a piece on January the 6th of 2014, and immediately the next day we started receiving complaints. Those complaints were sent to an investigator who completed her investigation in July of 2014.
That investigation determined Mr. Hurst's company did conduct unauthorized tows due to lack of required signage, and that he should surrender his license for 1 year and refund the complainants. These cases were then turned over to a TDLR prosecutor,
who has been in informal settlement negotiations with the owner of the tow company since that time. And our goal in that settlement is to get your viewers their money back.
Susan Stanford with the TDLR says it is not unusual for an investigation to take more than a year. She says her department will continue to send these complainants quarterly letters updating them on the investigation. So even though it's been more than a year, don't give up hope.
Don't give up hope.
Are still fighting for them.
That's true.
And the families here in Lubbock say they haven't given up.
I would like for them to just be responsible and to be honest.
Now, we tried to contact Randall Hurst multiple times for an interview, but he did not respond. We have confirmed that Mr. Hurst has closed down his tow company. However, he does remain responsible for all of those violations. Now, during our investigation into this flea market tow, we discovered other state investigations into Mr. Hurst and WTLS. We'll have more on this story for you on Monday on KCBD News Channel 11 at 10. Karen and Abner.
Thank you, Shaley. Dozens of Lubbock doctors are receiving big bucks from drug and device companies. Some argue those payments can influence what a doctor prescribes. Companies are now required to publicly report payments they make to doctors, but two U.S. senators say that's not enough.
In fact, they want to expand that law to include any payments made to authorized prescribers like physician assistants or nurse practitioners. KCBD News Channel 11's investigative reporter Shaley Sanders has more. Shaley.
Karen and Abner, I found several Lubbock doctors who in less than 2 years were paid thousands, some hundreds of thousands of dollars by drug and device companies. Now, just because your doctor is on this list does not mean they did something wrong, but research has shown that these relationships can influence what a doctor prescribes, and some experts say it's a cause for concern. Travel, promotional speaking, meals, gifts. Some Lubbock doctors are making big bucks, and these payments are legal. When a pharmaceutical company is paying for lunch, even if it's a small amount, do you think that that can create some sort of conflict of interest?
If you're continually prescribing the one drug over maybe less expensive alternatives that are just as good because that drug company is always in your office, always providing lunch, I think that that can be definitely a conflict of interest. Dr.
Chuck Seifert is the Regional Dean of Pharmacology at Texas Tech. He says while some payments are questionable, others are encouraged.
If that physician is one of the really big thought leaders that's going to change care for the better and they receive royalties because of that, that's a good thing for the public.
I have invented several things: plates, screws, rods, custom implants, and I've also helped invent some things used in spine surgery.
Drug and device companies paid Dr. Mark Scioli nearly $150,000 between August of 2013 to December of 2014. The majority of that money paid for royalties and licensing. All public information available right here on this federal website. ProPublica has collected that information and created this easy-to-navigate database.
And any patient that would come to me with this data, I would be absolutely tickled pink to transparently tell them exactly what it all is and what it all means. Any doctor should be happy to do that as well. And if he's doing something that's not so clean, he might be a little bit embarrassed.
I asked Dr. Scioli about this data that shows some Lubbock doctors having received hundreds of dollars worth of gifts.
Why would you get more than one? And if they're from the same company, okay, what does that mean?
Experts say if you find out that your doctor has prescribed you medication made by a company he or she receives payments from, ask if there are cheaper generic alternatives. I asked Dr. Scioli what he thought about these senators wanting to expand the bill to include other prescribers.
If they will let the transparency extend to themselves for every single speech they give and get paid for, I'm happy to let them do this to me.
The bill has been referred to the Senate Finance Committee. If passed, the reporting requirements would go into effect next year. Now, I want to show you how this database works. Just log on to kcbd.com, or you can use your KCBD mobile app. Then look for my story on the home page. You can see it here. It says KCBD Investigates. Once you click on that, it will take you to my article, and there's a link in here for Dollars for Docs. It's a really easy to use database. You can either type in Lubbock, Texas. It will show you all of the doctors who have received payments, or you can search for a specific doctor. I'm going to search for Dr. Mark Shaley since we did talk to him. His name is the first one that pops up. All you have to do is click there. You can see not only how much he made in that time period, but who paid him and what it was for. Again, the link is here in our website. There's also a link to the federal website where you can gather more information. Karen and Abner.
New tonight, dash cam video of a Lubbock pastor involved in a traffic stop is now going viral.
KCBD News Channel 11's Shaley Sanders explains.
Karen and Abner, Pastor Wendell Davis of Lions Baptist Church was pulled over on his way to Dallas. What happened next on the side of Highway 84 between Snyder and Sweetwater is something he never expected and something he says he will never forget.
It was definitely a hiccup in my plan, as I never planned to be stopped.
Pastor Wendell Davis says he never thought a traffic stop would end with him giving a state trooper a hug.
Yes, sir.
On Friday, Davis was headed to Dallas, but he was pulled over for an expired registration sticker and for not having a front license plate.
I own up to that, okay?
But Trooper Connor Harden didn't give Davis a ticket. He did something else.
He then said, I'm going to give you 2 warnings, and I'd like to make 2 requests.
Harden requested Davis make the changes to his car. Davis gave him his word that he would.
He said, and my second request is, will you pray for me? And I said, absolutely, I will.
God, I lift him, I lift his family, I lift his co-workers, his colleagues.
And of course, I know the climate within America, but that didn't cloud my mind. That didn't come to my mind.
At the end of the prayer, Trooper Harden had one more request.
And I said, sure, you know. It's only almost 100 degrees out here, so sure, you know. And he said, can I have a hug? Well, I'd never been asked that by a state trooper, okay? And so I said, sure, absolutely, and I hugged him.
What Davis originally would have called a hiccup in his journey to Dallas, he now calls something else.
A divine moment.
Now, both Trooper Harden and Pastor Davis say they hope their paths will cross again. I'm guessing this time under different circumstances. Karen and Abner.